Okay, so go ahead and start off the easy stuff. There's positively charged or negatively charged. That's literally whether the overall charge is positive, negative, or the last one being neutral, right? At physiological pH. So most of these are pictures, and so that one's actually very, very quick and easy, right? We'll have to stop and wait for neutral because there's one other thing we have to look at. But for example, negatively charged, these always cancel out, right? The amine and the carboxylic acid will always cancel out. So what you're looking at is always the side chain. And so is the side chain an acid, base, or is it hydrophobic, which means it doesn't have a group that loses a hydrogen, right? Like CH3. Or is it something that is both an acid and base, in which case it would not have an overall charge, right? Like this, for example, doesn't get an overall charge at physiological pH. Though you don't actually have to have that memorized in this case because it gives you the damn structure right here. So it kind of takes care of that, doesn't it? Okay, so negatively charged is very easy, right? You look at the one, it has a negative charge overall. There's two negatives, one positive. Negatively charged, drop it there. Positive charge, you actually have to remember. You guys remember what lysine looks like? Yeah, so one of the reasons I start you guys off so early on, you know, this is this and that is that. Yeah. Yeah, lysine's a common supplement, especially for like cats and stuff. Dogs and cats oftentimes need more lysine in their diet. So.
What does that help with? What's the help with?
It's something that you would normally get from protein, meat, especially like fresh meat. But because we feed our cats and dogs vegetarian food when they're not meant to, they're usually short on it. And so they, can't build up the proteins they need. So anyways, I'm not a vet, but you get the idea. This is lysine, right? Right here we have the basic amino acid structure, amine, acid. So those cancel. And then this one's a base, right? So at physiological pH, it would take on a positive charge. And so that would be positive at physiological pH. Everybody okay with that so far? Notice hydrophobic is its own thing. Well, part of the reason for that is if you're charged or polar, you're hydrophilic, right? So all three of these are actually hydrophilic side chains, right? Everybody okay with that? So hydrophobic would automatically mean you're not going to take on a charge to the physiological pH, are you? And so you look, well, there's methyl, right? Well, that's hydrophobic. It's an alkane. Okay. And then polar neutral, this is definitely a polar group, right? Has an oxygen, it has amine, both of those are polar groups, so it is most definitely polar. And then, well, you don't have an overall charge, do you? It's not an overall acid, but it's also not an overall base. And that's because of this oxygen here, right? That's an amide group, by the way. Okay. Is everybody okay with that? Did anybody have any questions on this? No? Okay. Fair enough. I'm out.